Hey, eighth graders. So today we are going to do a little calculator practice. You should be able to access this on Google Classroom if you want to be able to click on the links. And the reason why we're doing this is because on the eighth grade MCA, they give you a calculator, but it looks different than the ones we have in our classroom. So if you select this link that I have, you should be able to click on the website, and it's going to bring you to this Minnesota statewide assessments page. And I want you to click on the grades 8 through 11 graphing calculator. It's going to bring you, and it's going to look like a test nav page. And this is simply to access the calculators. And then just click start. Start. It's not going to give you any questions, but then you have all the functionality of the test. So we can click the graphing calculator that's right here. And you can move this anywhere on your screen. It always clears before you start, so you can just hit clear again, and then we can start walking through how to use this to complete your little packet here. I know it seems like a lot, but once we get going, it's going to be really fast. So I'm going to do a couple from each one. The examples on here work perfectly. I went through it all just a little while ago, but I thought it might be kind of helpful if you saw me doing it as well. So we're going to start with exponents. If you need to put an exponent in your calculator, you can use the number 7. This is their example they have. And then if you just have squared, you can push this x squared button. And then you press enter and you get your answer. If you want to put a different exponent, you have to do a little bit something different. So we're going to use 7 again. So we have 7 to the third. And what they say is that you're going to hit this math button. And then you guys can see right here, they have this little third, this little sub 3 up there. And so if you just enter 3 and then press enter, it applies it. And then 343 would be your answer. Now, these two functions work for squaring or cubing, but let's say you have a different exponent. So you can use 7 and then use this little like arrow button, and you click the arrow button, and then you can put in whatever number you want. And then, so this one has to the 5th. And then you click enter and we get 16,807. So that's how you would do exponents. Pretty simple. I think this sheet could go pretty quickly for you guys. Okay, so then the next one that we are going to be doing is the opposite of exponent, of squaring, and we are going to be doing roots. So to do this, you do need to use the second function of this x squared button, and you can use the second button, and you can hit the square root button. And then we are just putting in an 8, and then you click enter. Okay, so those ones are pretty simple, but I did also give you some different roots. So not just a square root, but maybe like a cube root, or I think they even have one to the 8th. So what you do is you put your number in first. So like, let's say this example in your packet, we have 4, and then you go to the math button, and then you can click number 5. Okay, and the reason why we click number 5 is because it has the blank X there. And then you can put in whatever number we have. So if we're going to put in 8, and you can use the keys on your keyboard for some of these things too. And then we're going to click enter. And it's really good to practice these examples that they have for you in the packet so that you can see if you get the exact same decimal or answers that they have on the sheet. So I just was going through the examples there. And then this is your sheet. It's all calculated. You don't have to do any of this by hand. Okay, the next one is scientific notation. So scientific notation on a graphing calculator is a little bit different, but it actually makes your life way easier. So if you want to put it in standard notation, you put in your decimal, and then you have to use the second function, which is that blue button, and then this double E, it's a comma above the 7. And that E is going to mean that we're going to have it in exponential form. And then you just select your like times 10 to the 5th. So you put a 5 in there and then click enter. And that takes it from scientific into standard notation. And then the next thing that they want you to be able to do is to take it from scientific to, or standard to scientific. And this one is just a tiny bit tricky. You need to change the mode on your calculator. So you're going to click on this mode, and then you're going to go to scientific. And I just toggled over. and then you do have to hit enter, otherwise it doesn't stay. And then to get out of this screen, just push clear. And then you can put in your number. So this number is 5, 4, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. And then you click enter, and it puts it in scientific notation for you. Okay. Now, just when you are finished with this, you have to take it and put it back in normal. If you guys were going to do this on your calculator, like they have some problems that you can do here, they want your answer in scientific notation. So we can do, you put up parentheses around it. I write it just like they have it. So 2, and then we're going to do to the 12th times 10 to the 12th, put it in parentheses. We are timesing. And then this one is 5.4. I'm doing number 7 on your guys' worksheet. And then this is going to be to the exponent of 11. And then when you hit enter, what is it telling me? Okay, so I want to go to this. It's good to have a little, oh, I just accidentally have 2 times there. So I should be able just to delete that. So if you put the go to, it should show you where the problem is. Then you can retype it. So that was 10 to the 11th. Let's see if this will work. And there we go. So there's your answer. So these scientific notation problems look complicated, but all that you do is you write it exactly like they have using that E button for your thing. So then before you go on to your next thing, you're going to want to go to mode and put it back in normal mode. You have to use the toggle to go over there and then click enter so it stays, and then just clear to get out of there. So these are your fractions. If you want to go from a decimal to a fraction, you put in your decimal. And then, oops, I got an extra decimal in there, 0.25. And then if you go to math, it gives you these little functions here. And I want to go to a decimal, so or to a fraction. So 1 is where I want to select, and then you just push enter, and then you do the push enter again, but then it gives you 1/4. Okay. If you have a bigger decimal, so they have 8.125, and again, you go to math and you go to fraction and you click enter, and there has your decimal there. They do say one little trick that you could do if you need a mixed number instead of that improper fraction. You know 8 is going to be your whole number, so just do the 0.125 part of it. Go to math, fraction, enter, enter, and that gives you an eighth. So your decimal or your fraction would be 8 1/8 there for your final answer. And then if you want to do a repeating decimal, this one's pretty useful. They just say that you have to have at least 12 digits. So I'm going to do point, and their example here is the 8s. So to do the repeating decimal, they say you have to put in 12 digits. So if I was doing this one, I'd do point, then they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then you go to math, and we're going to hit fraction, and then hit enter, and then it will give you that 8/9. And you can do this with other types of repeating. So like 2-digit repeating, this one was 4, 5, 4, 5. So again, we can enter it 4, 5, 4, 5, and they just want enough digits so that the calculator can recognize that it's a repeating decimal, which is a fraction. Okay, those are those rational numbers. So those are fractions. And then the last one is adding, doing operations with mixed numbers. Not difficult. They want you to use parentheses to go around your fraction, and then you put in your fraction just with a plus sign. So it's like 2 1/4 would be 2 plus, and then you do 1. You use your division sign for your fraction. 1/4, close your parentheses. If I were going to add it to something, I do plus, and oh, looks like I accidentally, darn it, I got 2 sets of parentheses in there for some reason. So I'm going to do that again. 2 plus 1/4, close my parentheses. Then I'm doing plus, put my parentheses for my new one, and then this is going to be 5 7/8. So 5 plus 7/8, close your parentheses, and hit enter. Now that gives it to you in a decimal. If you want it in a fraction, go to your math, and then you can hit the fraction button there. It will take your answer, convert it to a fraction, hit enter, and there you go. Okay, so just make sure you read your directions. The directions do say to leave your answer in an improper simplified fraction. It seems like a lot